Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام.
I'm very glad to be here. Last year I also did this, what Brother Ali described as a comedy session. Last year I did this as well at the Eid event MSA, and the reaction was great. I almost quitted my job. Before I forgot, Sister Medina said, Osh is kind of biryani, but better. Pakistanis are like, no, no way. Yeah, I'm very glad to be here and in this comedy session, but I'm also very nervous, and there are many reasons why I'm nervous. First of all, as a Muslim, to do a successful and acceptable stand-up comedy performance, there are 5 demands, not one less. There can be no foul language, there can be no discussion of intimacy, no racism, well, no explicit racism, no insult, and no lie. But even if you manage to fulfill all of these requirements, as a Muslim doing stand-up comedy, you still have to justify for why you're doing this, right? Because some brothers and sisters of us are, have 50 concerns regarding laughter, like it's gonna break their wudu. It does so only in Salah and only in a Hanafi madhab. I'm laying out my fiqh to show you that I'm serious and how halal my performance is. But again, because of that sensitivity and possible concerns that religious people may have about this kind of art, I have to come up with all kinds of creative ways to Islamize my performance. For example, this chair right here. Normally, it's a symbolic prop for a stand-up comedian, but not in my performance. In my performance, it serves a different function. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Look, that was hilarious. And the reason you didn't laugh, but you're holding back so hard, you're like, is it appropriate to laugh or should I be saying astaghfirullah? I understand. See, we need to make a distinction between making fun of religion and having fun with religion. Nobody should make fun of religion, any religion, but to express ideas with elements of the religion in a humorous way while still upholding the Islamic principles of truthfulness, respect, and modesty is something that has been done by even the scholars of the past. I'll give you an example. A person came to Imam Malik rahimahullah and asked him a question. He said, Ya Shaykh, isn't shaitan made of fire? Then how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish shaitan with fire when he's made of fire? And Imam Malik said, okay, you go get me some clay. This person went and got some clay, and Imam Malik threw it on his face. And he's like, did it hurt? The person said, ouch, yes, it hurt. So Imam Malik rahimahullah said, if clay can hurt clay, what's the problem with fire hurting fire? You see, he was talking about religious matters in a humorous manner. And this is one of the greatest scholars that ever lived. So this shows that it's okay, it's acceptable that you talk about religion in a humorous manner, as long as your intention is not to make fun of the religion. We're just having fun with religion, and that's okay. I think it's a matter of balance. So like if in a culture everything is amusement and entertainment and having fun and laughing out loud, then that's a problem. I think that's partially why Trump got elected, right? I think people voted for him just to see him speak on TV, because no matter what he does or says, it's always so entertaining, right? Like whenever, to a point that whenever his name is mentioned, you're already expecting a very funny joke. I don't have one, but he has a lot. The other day I was watching TV, so like China withdraw some trade restrictions with the US, and Trump was like, I think it's a good gesture, I think they've done the right thing. Everyone was shocked, I was not. First of all, I'm not shocked that he's not shocked, he's never shocked. He's like, I think they're great people, we're gonna do great things together in the future. And it doesn't really matter what he talks about. He could be saying random things and you'll still enjoy watching him, right? He could be like, it doesn't matter what I talk about, nobody cares. Everybody just loves watching me. No doubt about it, I guarantee you that. Look at all these lovely people. I think the fact that Trump got elected was a reaction to his predecessor, Barack Obama, because Obama was always so serious and calm and formal about everything, right? Even when he tries to be funny, he's like presidentially funny. He's like educational and informative with his jokes. Right? Obama would be like, folks, today I've got a joke for you. But it's not the joke that's important. It's rather the implications. Now I forgot what the joke is. It's not written by me anyway. But it doesn't matter, because the American people should always learn the implications. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that too much laughter and amusement to a point that it distracts you from the meaning of actions is wrong, but total denial and rejection of humor as a way of communication is also problematic. So we try to find a balance in between, and hopefully that's enough justification for today. Now let's come to the real content. So Hong Kong is one of the safest places in the world, or it used to be. Yeah, see some of you doing, don't go there bro, don't do it, don't do it. I know, because look, I'm from mainland China, and as a mainlander, talking about the political situation in Hong Kong is either a courageous and wise way of diffusing tension and building bridges, or the reason for my brutal death. We shall find out. I understand why some of you must be worried for me, because we do see more and more overgeneralized and irrational hatred and prejudices and biases against the mainland Chinese people on the internet. But the good thing is, I'm a Muslim. I've been pre-bullied by Islamophobic prejudices and hatred and biases. So I've been trained, I'm up to the task, I'm okay with it. I do take precautions though. For example, I don't speak Mandarin in public, for obvious reasons. But I don't speak Cantonese either, although I do know how to speak Cantonese pretty well. But I don't speak it because no matter how well you speak Cantonese, the local people can always know that you're not local, right? And given the circumstances, that just makes you more suspicious. It's like a white American CIA agent goes undercover to Taliban and talks like, how is everybody doing today? Doesn't help. So I don't speak Mandarin in public, I don't speak Cantonese. The only option left for me would be to speak English in public. And alhamdulillah, I have a flexible and somewhat confusing accent. Like people can't really tell where I'm from by my accent. So that becomes a form of protection. Like, right, people would ask me, where are you from? I would be like, where do you think I'm from? Are you from the States? Good guess. I didn't say it's true, I didn't lie. I just said it's a good guess. But you know, sometimes if I ask too suddenly, the truth might slip out and I'll still try to save it and then it becomes awkward. Like if somebody asks me out of the blue, where are you from? Mainland China. Oh, really? Which part? California? Like, you know, the west coast of mainland China? Jokes aside, I do feel the tension though, you know, as a mainlander, I do feel the tension. Because, and you know, it's funny because being a Muslim in this situation, the political situation of Hong Kong, is one of the rare occasions where your Muslim identity actually gets you out of trouble. Like people would ask me, are you pro-police or protesters? I'd be like, dude, I'm just a Muslim. I don't get into this. I'm not gonna take a side because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to die. But I do want to discuss a few phenomena with this platform and hopefully promote some positive thinking, inshallah. The first thing I want to talk about is this. You see, some local protesters assume that just because a person is from mainland China, then he or she automatically is a representative of the ideology of the Chinese Communist Party and a loyal supporter to every action undertaken by the government. That is a very unreasonable assumption. It's like blaming an average American for that border wall that Trump has built. It's unfair because what if he voted for Hillary, right? And he could be against the idea of the wall more than you can ever be. And we, the Chinese people on the other hand, we didn't vote at all. We didn't have to. We had no candidates, we had no choices, we were not involved in the process of selecting a national leader, we were informed. It's like one day the news anchor just appears on TV and says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In case you're interested, the next chairperson of the Chinese Communist Party and president of China will be so-and-so. And the vast majority of the Chinese people are like, meh. Thank you for a piece of mostly irrelevant and useless information. How does that affect beef price, right? And 2 years later, there will still be some Chinese people going, what's his name again? Like, you know, it's a whole different political system. And I get it, some of you must be like, oh, that's sad, you guys have no political participation. Well, not true. We do participate politically by complaining. This right here is my political participation. But the point I'm trying, and on top of that, there are 1.4 billion Chinese people, and that gives room to tremendous diversity, right? We have Chinese nationals that don't even look like Chinese. We have Chinese nationals that look like Sister Medina. We have ethnic minority groups called Kazakhs and Uzbeks and Tajiks. And there are Chinese people who don't even speak Chinese. So to make blanket indictment against the mainland Chinese people based on your sentiment regarding the Chinese government is to say the very least unreasonable. So why don't we treat each other by default as independently thinking individuals instead of developing divisional and tribal attitudes towards each other based on assumed group identities? Why don't we get to know each other through investigation and interaction, not generalization and imagination? How does that sound? You should clap because I'm transitioning to the next part. Alright, so let's come to something less political. I went to India last month. Pakistanis are like, yeah, that's political, huh? I went to India last month for a short trip, only 5 days, and it was it's a great memory. So for those of you who haven't been to India, I do recommend it. It's a beautiful place to visit. For those of you who are Pakistani and have not been to India, never lose hope. The future is full of possibilities. For those of you who are Pakistani and have been to India, put that in your CV. That's an amazing achievement. There's a reason I say that. When I applied for the Indian visa, e-visa online, there was this question. Please list all the countries you visited in the past 10 years. And I visited Pakistan in 2017, right? So I put it there, and then I received an email. The email says, please reply this email within 6 hours and furnish all the details of your visit to Pakistan. I was like, dude, the beef between you guys is real. And I couldn't say that I went for the walima of a brother. That's just inviting trouble. First of all, what do you mean brother? What kind of organization is this? So I just, I had to put on a very liberal, individualistic, westernized, white privileged tone. I was like, just traveling around the world, getting to know different culture, meeting people, venturing into uncertainties, and I just like traveling overall. And it worked, right? I got my visa, but then I was stopped at the border again. The immigration officer was checking my passport, and he saw the Pakistani visa, and he froze for a moment, and he stared at me, and he was like, explain yourself. So again, I had to put on that, liberal, individualistic, westernized, white privileged tone. I was like, just going around the world, getting to know different culture, meeting people, venturing into uncertainties, and I just like traveling overall. And he bought it, but he asked another question. He said, did you like Pakistan? And at this moment, my Muslim pride kicks in, right? I was like, yes, I did. And he took it pretty well, and he said, you will find India better. He actually said it, I'm not making this up. And I'm like, we shall see. It turned out it was a wonderful journey. I had a great time in India. Beautiful natural scenery, and people are nice. And I also get to meet a lot of Indian Muslims. I was invited to a masjid to deliver a talk, and also a Jummah khutbah in international school. Although there's nothing funny about this event, I'm just showing off. But there was one funny event. So I took a sleeper bus, during the night, and then during the night, the bus stopped in between, and a person came onto the bus looking all tense, as if he's going to give a speech. So I was alerted and I was paying attention. And sure enough, he did give a speech. He took a long breath and he said, tea, coffee, tea, coffee, tea, coffee. Tea, coffee, tea, coffee, tea, coffee. And I learned something from this experience. I learned that the Indian hand motion, this one, it's not random. It corresponds to the rhythm of the sentence. So it's like he did tea, coffee, tea, coffee, tea, coffee, and tea, coffee, tea, coffee, tea, coffee. There should be no explicit racism, so I just stopped at there. And then when I came back, a lot of people asked me, is India better or Pakistan better? I refuse to answer that question. Because first of all, to be very honest, you guys all look the same to me. And that's not racist, because how many of you can tell the difference between a Chinese and a Japanese or Korean? Put your hand down, I don't believe you. So, that's number one. And number two, better in what? Like economy, infrastructure, military, morality of the government, mango lassi, beef biryani. What are we comparing here? There are so many things you can compare, right? So why don't we, again, I propose, why don't we, as instructed by the Quran, get to know each other humbly and learn from each other what is good and right, and try to fix what is wrong, and work together to make the world a better place despite our differences. How does that sound? You should clap because I'm transitioning to the next part. All right, so I teach in a secondary school, and it's really fun teaching because children are very creative. Sometimes they come up with very original ideas that you don't expect at all. For example, one day I was teaching my class Islamic history, and I was talking about how a group of Muslims migrated from Mecca to Abyssinia, which is currently Ethiopia in Africa, because they were under severe persecutions by the Meccans. And then the Meccans actually sent a group to try to get them back. And then there was this famous conversation between the African king Najash And then the Ja'far ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, the leader of the Muslims, because the king wants to know more about this new religion, Islam. And there was this famous conversation. So I wanted to impress my students with this historic event. So I said, okay, I want you guys to do like a role play dialogue reading, right? Yahya, you will play the role of the African king Najash, and Omar, you will be Ja'far. And I want you to imagine the scenario. I want you to read the lines the way you think the characters will speak them, all right? And Yahya is like, no problem, sir, I got this, easy. And I'm not making this up, this is what he said. He said, okay, what does your religion say about Jesus? I'm like, dude, what's with the accent? Why are you talking like that? And he's really into character too. He's like, this is what an Afghan king would sound like, eh? And then it's not only him. The whole class joined the play, and the few boys next to him figured that they were guards of the king, and they were giving me attitude. One of them is like, you be silent, the king is talking, come here. There's a lot of control, man. Sometimes it's really fun teaching, other times it's painful, because sometimes it's really hard to discipline children. I come from an entirely different educational background. I studied in Milan, China, and in Milan, China, students actually listen to teachers. And students actually do what teachers ask them to do. And in Hong Kong, it's like a different ballgame, especially because in my school, over 90% of the students are South Asians, like mostly Pakistanis. So I had to learn a few Urdu phrases from my Pakistani colleagues to strengthen my authority and upgrade my pedagogy. Because if I just say to them, be quiet, please, sit down, it doesn't work. Yahya would be like, what are you talking about? It actually happened a few times. Yahya is sitting here in the audience and his sister, so you can verify that this is true. So it doesn't work. I can't just be civilized and please sit down, please be quiet. It doesn't work. I have to use the local traditional measures. So I learned a few Urdu phrases. Number one is this, Oi! I can see some of you getting scared. I'm bringing back the childhood trauma, right? That's number one. And then number two is, Kya kar rahe ho? Kya kar rahe ho? Immediately followed by, Marna jata ho? By the way, for those of you who don't know, it means, what are you doing? You want to die? And if it still doesn't work, then we have the final nuclear weapon, idaro, idaro. Idaro means come here. And you can't just see that, you can't just say that, you have to pair that with the motion, idaro, idaro. Yeah, it's a lot of fun teaching in school. I want to end on a serious note. See, everything that I shared with you in the past 15 minutes or so are true stories that happened in my life, and evidently, alhamdulillah, they brought joy to you. And now if you pay attention to your life, you'll find that there's plenty of stories that will bring joy to you and people around you as well. And if we collectively as a faith community become sensitive to joy and become grateful for joy and become willing to share our joy to those around us, then we'll find strength in that. We'll find unity in that. We'll find productivity and positivity in that. And then we'll be able to stand up with our shoulders back and face the unavoidable trials and tribulations and difficulties and adversities and sufferings and tragedies of life while still maintaining a qalbun salim, a sound heart. And that's amazing. We will become a group of people who constantly radiate hope and positivity, and others will have no choice but to draw towards the beauty of Islam. See, in a time and age that we're living in where well-being and mental health became such rare commodities, the mere fact and ability of being genuinely happy is something that will make people curious to find out, why are you happy? So if we Muslims become just happy people, genuinely, sincerely happy people, that would be a great form of dawah, right? Now, a friend of mine told me, like, it's cool and all, you have an emotional speech in the end, but in a stand-up comedy, you have to end with a funny joke. That's just how it goes. I'm like, fine, okay, I'll do it. So I have a knock-knock joke. You guys all know how knock-knock jokes work, right? So I don't have to teach you. Okay. Just for your information, it does require some religious knowledge for you to appreciate the genius of it. So if you don't find it funny, well, you know who to blame. And then again, I have to restate the principle that having fun with elements of religion is acceptable and okay. Alright, so here comes the knock-knock joke. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
La ilaha illa.
لا إله إلا هو.
عالم الغيب والشهادة وهو الرحمن الرحيم. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.